Okay, that was quite the suitcase you just unpacked, sir. So, Ms. Tan, and this is how I'm going to start this. How do we fix this problem? Ms. Tan, you said we're exploring our avenues of communicating with our veterans because this is a pretty long cast here. So it starts inside the VA with our digital infrastructure, our training, manning, equipping with software and hardware. But as it moves downstream and touches the veterans, they have to be able to communicate back into the organization to say, hey, look, my dependents are no longer here, and I've gotten a divorce or my spouse has passed away. How do we track? You mentioned Social Security earlier. How does the VA, because in my district, they don't have computers, they don't have phones. Our veterans like to dig in, and they're just kind of hidden. How do we track or help our veterans track? How do we track our veterans if they lose a spouse so the VA is not providing overpayment? How do we fix that problem? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to say this now, I'm going to say it in my closing remarks, if we're spending $3 billion in overpayment and underpayment, and from the last 10 years, if we're doing our homework correctly, those numbers have increased. We're losing ground, which is money that can be spent in other areas of the VA. And I agree with my ranking member's opening statement. We have the ability to fix this, and this is a problem, yes. And when you're dealing with dollar bills, it's a big problem considering the numbers. But we have to be aggressive. Us, in the VA have to be aggressive on how to fix this. So I think it's absolutely possible in 2025. So Ms. Tan, I'll start with you.
Thank you for your question, Chairman. So we are looking at a number of avenues, but we also have a lot of things currently in place. We are making sure to notify veterans in our correspondence about when they need to report changes to us, what we have of record, and how we're using that information. We also have the ability to report to any of our public contact offices. They can make changes through va.gov as well as call our call center. So we want to make it as easy as possible for veterans to access and provide updated information as much as is necessary. We also have capabilities in which we use matching agreements. You mentioned Social Security. Some of that is for income-based benefits and entitlements. We also do death matches so that we are made aware, and we have like a survivor's assistance office now that can help veterans kind of navigate some of these situations, but really for information that only they have, if there is a divorce, if there is the death of a spouse or the need to remove or add a dependent, that's only information that veterans know that they have to come to us. And so we're trying to open all the doors and make sure that they know that they have to inform us and what information we're using at any given time.
Do we have the exact, I'm going to try to say this right, do we have the exact number of how many beneficiaries there are, how many we correspond with, and how many respond back to the VA's requests? So if we're pumping out letters, Mr. Frill, to 100 veterans that we give that are beneficiaries, and only 30 of them are responding back, but we're still paying the other 70, do you have that number by chance? Ms. Tan, I may be switching to Mr. Frill, I apologize.
No, sir, I don't have that number readily available, but we can take that back.
But is that a question that's being asked in the department?
It is. We are looking at, specifically in our area, in pension and fiduciary, we are looking at the rate of return when we do development actions or we do requests for information, the rate of return that we get.
Do you have like a projection or a window that you can provide the committee today?
No, sir, I would just be making up an arbitrary number, and I don't want to do that, but we will.
We'll get that. I ask that you get that to us, because again, just curiosity, if we're in the billions in overpayments.
And sir, if you don't mind, one thing I'd like to expand on Ms. Tan's answer is,
okay,
with the Social Security death match, originally that was just for beneficiaries. We have expanded that out to dependents on an award. So to your question about how we would find out if a spouse passed away, we will do that through the Social Security death match. Social Security has the same limitation we do, that they're dependent upon a third party to notify them of a death. But once we get it, we can start action with the veteran to remove that dependent from their award.
Okay. I'm eager to know how many beneficiaries there are, how many we send information to, and how many are responding to that request. Because the delta in there, I'd be curious to see what the number sign is and how that's correlated.
Yes, sir. And from that perspective, sir, just for clarity, we do correspond with almost all veterans every year when we do the cost of living adjustments to what Ms. Tan spoke about in the letters. We identify change, but as far as the other actions where we do development and like a due process, is that more the area that you're
That
looking
might,
at?
well, that might be where one of the misses are.
Okay.
It's causing the problem. I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of them, but that would make the. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ranking Member. You're recognized for 5 minutes.